Hi everybody, I'm Jess, your go-to Road to Kingdom analyst, and we are here with the first challenge of episode 2 of Road to Kingdom Season 2 Ace of Ace. It is the K-pop boy group versus, so we have the Stray Kids grouping as well as the ENHYPEN grouping we're going to look at. We're going to look at the full cams. We're not looking at the camera op versions because they are performing in front of a live audience, and so we're going to get the same vantage point that the audience members will get, and that is how I'm going to contribute in my feedback. So we have the actual performances as well as the originals live cams if we do have those, so we can do a really good comparison between the arrangement and the choreographic influence between the two. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Here we go. We got Maniac by Tempest. This will be interesting. Very intrigued by this. This is a very well-known track too. Take it off, take it off, take it off. There you go. The fits are fitting. This is cool. I like the color scheme already because I can clearly see who my members are. So I saw the prop setup there. So there's that. That's cool. But I saw the setup. First time we're seeing a camera out. Okay, let's take a look. Stray Kids. It's weird looking at Stray Kids in this one because I've marathoned them, so it's just weird to like go back to it. Do you know what I mean? But I haven't seen this specific live though. my gosh, and Felix has short hair too. Okay. Silence. Okay. And the new 6. Wow, their fits are very similar to Tempest fits. Phobia. It's giving very concept, but they upgraded it. Oh my god. They continue their lore. Basket runs are gonna kill me this season. Oh my god. That was a good surprise. I wasn't expecting hands to come out of there. I was expecting that. Right. That was a cool illusion, actually, at the end. You thought it was a person. I thought it was a person, and then they're not there anymore. Okay, this says there is no illusion greater than fear. Ooh, okay. Now, let me be real with you. The risk of them picking a song like this is because there is no title influence to it. But this can work very much in their favor because there is nothing to compare it to. There is no live. There is no music video. There is no performance that Stray Kids has done to this song. Okay, so here's my vote. Out of the two, between Tempest and the THENEWSIX, I would vote, if I was in the audience, I would vote for the THENEWSIX out of the two. And I find it so, honestly, I find this so fun that they chose to use camera and you got to see camera on stage. So did the THENEWSIX. So it's not like one reason one got picked over the other was because one had camera, one didn't, and da-da-da-da-da. I kind of like the fact the matchups are very similar. Like the when it comes to like the very first one with Hyphen, they didn't change the tracks too much, and neither of them had a camera on stage. So it was really like it was a very interesting battle of preference there. And then here they're in very similar fits. Similar compositions, but I will say the THENEWSIX, so far, they take the top spot on best rearranged track out of everybody. It sounds the most different, but I still get the intention of it as well, which is very cool. It's kind of cool. Could it be because I didn't know it? Maybe, but I'm telling you, I don't know if Tempest picked the right song, because, I mean, this beginning was cool, do not get me wrong, but this song with Stray Kids and with really any track, like, if, let's say, the THENEWSIX picked a really well-known track, I feel like it would be more competitive on song preferences, but for me, in this type of challenge, it's not just about who is doing the group, like who's taking inspiration. It's, can you make the track your own, or does it look like a cover? And here with Maniac, the things that they ended up changing, I found interesting. And here's the thing too, we gotta talk about this. A lot of things that I'm talking about have nothing to do with the groups, everything to do with the teams that are affiliated. So it's the choreography teams, whoever arranged it, whoever did the composition, those types of things. And everything, remember, is my personal opinion from my background. So I am not the all-knowing and what says goes, but I'm gonna be honest and talk about why I feel the way that I feel, or why I personally would choose how I would choose within my terminology and my scope that I come from. So the setup here, I don't know if this was the best song out of the entire discography. There's hundreds of songs I know. I don't know if this was the best call, but we're working with this, what we have, it is what it is. So the build up there, I like the use of the lights, the reverb's really cool on the tail end. How they have the dancers chain like that is really dope. So you get this really cool effect with the leans on it, super sick. So the chains are cool, and the extra reverb, some of our dancers are freaking bodying that. I love it. The strobe light is cool. So it's interesting where they're like, we're hitting, what are we building? It feels like we're building something. Maybe Frankenstein, you know, the tracks, Maniac, so that's kind of the impression it gives, maybe. So they hit down that boom. Now this is interesting, the leans. God, I love the leans on this. Now, I have had choreography where we've had the privilege of doing this, but I had an apparatus that she was able to use to do it. And that's a completely side topic, but I like the illusion very much, especially the fact that you're just having bodies make this illusion happen and not another apparatus. Of course, you have a chain that helps. It's still very impressive. I love it. And then having everybody create this nice effect where they're leaning to and fro, and then you have this build up. I also appreciate the fact that with both groups, it's so clear who the members are and who aren't. It's so fascinating that these matchups, they ran into the same problems, or that I had the same notes to give. It's so weird in a cool way. Okay, so the leans are really nice. Nothing crazy there. And then we reach up is also cool. And they drop down, boom, I like the little heaviness of that. Come on now. And he lets it go. He's struggled a little bit. Now, we're going to also talk about this. Whenever accidents or things happen on stage, in my head, I'm not like, ooh, that cost it. Now, there's certain cases, like when I was talking about Ater and how he was going up on the stairs, there's certain things that I feel like could have been integrated, like the choice of the color of the shoe that would help with the stability check that we were noticing on the grab. It's still impressive he didn't have to rely upon anybody, but it's still something that was always going to be there. Taking this and boom and pulling it, that's a circumstantial. Sometimes it doesn't come loose. Doesn't mean that they didn't practice that. It really did. And I can tell, and he was able to get it off in a timely manner, but there was a hot second where I was like, ooh, is he going to get it taken off? Because it was such an attention thing, because he's right there in center. There's nothing covering it. So it's something, sometimes that happens on stage. And I do know that with the THENEWSIX, there was somebody that got tripped up. I know they're well rehearsed, and that's just what happens on stage sometimes. When you get adrenaline, this, that, and the other, there's things that happen. There are differences between things that happen circumstantially, like what that case was, and also things that's just how the choreography was that should have been looked at. So that's my note there. The accent there, boom, da-doon, da-doon. They take it. I like that choice, boom, boom. Cool, danger, something's happened. He's been let loose, I'm assuming is what the premise of this concept is. somebody who was being controlled and now was let loose. They hit down, down, down. So I like the dancers on that. We have our moment. That da 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 da. Cool. Nice. Now, how they have this bomb, 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 bomb is just like Maniac, but it's a completely different like timbre represented. So the type of sounds they're using, the type of percussion they're using is different. But then we kind of revert, like we just made it a little bit different, but we didn't completely shift it. If that makes sense. Now this right here, that's another case of we're seeing this prop be set up. You want to avoid these types of things happening. You're kind of already showing the illusion, like the trick behind the illusion before the illusion happens. That's what ended up happening here. And that also is a note that I'm giving to New 6 with some of the draping with the sheet. There was like these big holes cut out. Like I knew something was coming. Now there were certain things that happened in that one that caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting it. But there's certain things that really met the expectation of what that slit in the fabric. I knew what was going to happen. Same here. I knew we were going to have a levitating effect simply because you have something that you're prepping. You're all focused on it. I am not focusing on the lower half whatsoever. You have one feature really going for it. The lift was cool, but that lift, I mean, holding him up to make it a bigger moment instead of making it an accent point would have really helped salvage this illusion setup to me, based on the circumstances. Does that make sense? How the choreography is structured, this is the example that I'm going to give of like what I just said literally like a paragraph or two ago about there is certain structures of your choreo that help allow that is rehearsed and is a note or circumstantial. This right here, this is not a circumstantial thing. This is something that they had to do every single time. They are prepping the prop. They could have very easily avoided my eyes from watching that by having a different choice go on in the lower half. So that's a note that I will give. That is not the same as the chain not coming off. Does that make sense? I hope we're understanding the difference on that. So the dancers have dropped down. He's being withheld, and then all of a sudden, he's let loose. So for me, I feel like, okay, we had our punctuation on our moment, and now we're just transitioning to a different part. So we're not structuring, or it doesn't feel like we're bleeding over in an effective way, and we're not actually functionally progressing a storyline. We're just doing gimmicks is what it feels like right now. This right here, he looks over. The spin is a cool moment, but I already knew it was coming a mile away. So they take the arms, syncopated overhead, cool. The looks are nice. They drop. Yeah, hit, dun, hit it over. It just feels like a rock version of a Stray Kids track. Yeah, boom, da 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 with the bass. Say cool, picking it up, slide through, still hit. Definitely, that's like a biting symbol if you've ever seen that. I don't think they're really referencing biting or plagiarism or anything like that. It's just what you're used to seeing that prop, or not prop, but what you're used to seeing that kind of whatchamacallit. Yeah, you're used to seeing that gimmick done. He hits it over. Now that's subtle, and then you have the lean over. It's cool. That's fine, and then they pick it up. And then they're running into a similar issue that I gave the note to 8 turn. My goal is to try to be as equal as possible in the notes. If I'm calling it out in one group, I have to call it out in another group. Here, we're already showcasing symptoms of we're letting our members stay center. And we have like these little outliers at moments, but we're not finding or workshopping ways to still make the group let them be on the outside, or like figuring out different ways to integrate them outside of in the center as a group. And because they're dancers on the outside, because in the case, it feels like we just rehearse separately, right? Hitting it down, it's just unison choreo. We could have more levels on that. Da, 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 da. So he's dropped down low. Predictable, something's about to happen. So he has this moment over him. I like the illusion of that. That was nice. We appreciate that. The drop is cool, the pick up there. And then the dancers are now running off stage into a setup on the other side. So there's that. And then the camera comes in. Now, notice something here. This is something that I think I brought up in Queendom too. This was a logistic that we talked through there, and now we get to talk about it here. So notice the runoff. We don't. That's the point, because the lights are out on that side. So I think that's my thing, is when you see transitions or you see those types of like runs off to prep for new formations, that's where your lighting would come in. You want it to be darker when you have a breaking character moment to allow for your audience to naturally want to focus on where you want us to focus on. This is stage direction we're talking through. Now remember, I come from an American lens, and I have had experience with understanding the Broadway show context of how the show is structured, as well as on like a school level, college level, like understanding how the space operates and the type of stage that you have and where your audience is going to be, thinking about those things influences your lighting, your LED screens, where your people go, what your storyline is, where you want people to look when. All of those things have to work together. It is choreography of the body, choreography of the eyes, choreography of the ear. And does that make sense? So it's not just about, is the choreo dope? A-Turn had dope choreo, but that was the only thing. It felt like that was the priority, and that shouldn't have been the top priority on a kingdom-based show, right? Here, we are opting, like, we really are focusing on camera in this moment, but notice though, I like the fact that it was very clear that we needed to focus over here because the lights are out over here. So there's nothing for me to naturally look at. So I'm going to look at the brighter light, which is over here. We're like flies with like a fly trap. They're like, ah, look at the light, you know? But I think this is the first time we're like really noticing that, where the lights are guiding our choices, which I appreciate, but I feel like they needed to do something like this a little bit earlier so I didn't see the dancers break character and run off to prep for this that we're seeing right here. I think that's my big note I'm giving to Tempest, or not really Tempest, but to whoever was structuring this. It feels like I'm seeing all of the tricks before the tricks happen, and that's what you want to avoid if you want to showcase like surprises. Does that make sense? So anyway, so yeah, this moment, so there's this resistance happening, which is so wild that they're doing this over here on stage right, when you literally see something very similar in the start of the new sixes, which is so crazy, the correlation. I wonder others are thinking about that too. So they have the little da-da-da-da-da, so they have all these little timing or things. There's that little gimmick with the travel up. That was cool. So at least it was catty corner, so I feel like we were at least considering the fact the audience should be watching this. They didn't do a straight negligence, but it is a note where we did see an entire matchup where they didn't have a camera, and it was really dope and mighty fine, and it makes me intrigued on the camera shots there. But here, it's very clear. You got the camera right here. It automatically kind of like breaks character a little bit because we have a camera. But that's whatever. I'm more forgiving on that because of the culture of where we are. It's Korea, music shows, that kind of stuff, whatever. And then right there, we're still catering to camera, da-da-da-da, bum, 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 talk, talk, talk. That's whatever. I mean, that's nothing crazy. Not quite clean on how everybody's executing this section right here. Some are isolating from the hips, some more so from the actual chest, so that would have been something to clean. Some are not even using their torso at all, so that's my note. Regardless if you're singing or not, if you're doing unison choreo, you have to deviate enough to show me that you're featured, because just because you're center doesn't mean I'm going to clock you as that, especially with all these moving pieces going on. You have to match everybody if you're going straight unison, or you have to deviate just enough so I know that you are my feature. And so that's my note right there for center. Then boom, down, they hit it down. The pull, toxic, drop down. Definitely feels they're doing the Stray Kids Maniac choreo. The dun dun, that boom, boom, boom. I like that they're hitting the orchestra in the back. That little cool. That little vroom, that's cool. We didn't have anybody trigger the turnaround like you normally do see in the Stray Kids one with Felix and with Hyunjin, where they do the head, right? So that's my note there. It just felt like a turn on the courtesy of the sound, not we're actually telling people to turn. Yeah, that maniac. Yeah, maniac. And this is a hard track to do. Honestly, any track that has a super, super low voice is hard to justify. It's hard, you know, because it's a very iconic section. Now we have our dancers, da 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 da. Frankenstein, maniac, maniac. Little ha-ha, it's fine. But we're in a lot of unison and not on the same page on some of our choices. Now, I understand turnaround times are so freaking fast on these. So I already am operating from the jump with all of these. I understand the crunch time, the high stress environment, things of those natures. I am simply coming from the basis of, if I had none of that context going in and I'm just looking at the material, what are notes would I give it? Would I have this one win over the other? Yes or no? How do I justify that, right? Because it's not just because I said so and one looks cooler than the other. No, we have to go deeper. Why do I personally feel that one feels better than the other in the position that I am as a dance analyst? That's why we go as deep as we do. But at the end of the day, it's art. Do I really wish that we ranked these? God, no. I just want to celebrate the fact that we have these really cool performances and everyone's doing a fantastic job in the grand scheme of the conversion from the kingdom expectations of the camera work only to having to do it live. They're doing a fantastic job with what they have. We got to give credit where credit is due. They hit it through, but it's a lot of unison. We're relying too much on this podium to create levels versus creating levels with the dancers and the members. So that's my note there. And look, Are we shocked at the fact that the members are in center and the dancers are just the outliers on the side? No. For me, I also prefer complexity of formations or dynamics when you integrate your dancers to where it doesn't feel like the members and the dancers learn their routine separately and you just puzzle piece it together. You can feel the difference. And this is what it feels like so far to me. It's just everybody learned the choreo and then we had like maybe a day to kind of work together. If that really is the case, then I would implore the company that manages Tempest, we need to reprioritize our schedule so Tempest is set up for more success so they can actually be integrated with their dancers more effectively. That's not on Tempest. None of these things are on Tempest. The turn down, cool. The pulse is cool, so naturally whoever's up there I'm gonna want to watch. That's a good way to clock your feature, but if you want to be more creative, I would think about other ways outside of just using the podium. Well, Maniac, and then the dancers have now gone off stage. The roll through. Then we have our dancers, once again, they're kind of the accessory in all this. They walk down, hit, like the height on that's cool. Boom, I like the little partnering, it's nice. This feels different. I like how this feels different than the original. This is nice. And then you have the camera coming in, so that's number 2, where I have no idea what's going on. So as an audience member, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it's like, oh, I'm not important in this moment, is what it is, if you think about it. Whenever you're doing music shows, it's one thing, right? Because the audience is there for moral support because it's your fans. If your audience is judges, I want to see everything. But also, I'm a dance analyst. I'm not just like a fan. I'm not a fan of any group. And that's what I like about doing these is that I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be emotionally like upset if a group makes a mistake or not. Like I empathize for them as humans, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to make sense of what we're given, right? So for me, I would love to see what's going on here. What's captivating about this moment? I don't want to have to wait for it to get launched on YouTube for me to have the pleasure of seeing that if I was in the space. So this, to me, the more camera I see, the less likely I feel I feel like I matter in the grand scheme of the overall production of the routine. And that's not on Tempest either. That's cool. So he hits it over. Then we have the camera pan over. And now some people are like, why are there 2 people? That's a safety thing. I love the fact that we have 2 people when you get somebody up like this because they have this situation, this gimbal setup right here. They are not paying attention to where they are. This person right here is directing the camera guy. Not only that, making sure the camera guy doesn't fall into the orchestra pit. So this is why this matters. But also, this is not new information for these people that are working these. They should know there's always going to be 2 people every time you bring a camera on stage like this. And so you're going to run the risk of more of your routine being covered up because there's more people that are having to make sure that camera shot's getting made. So some people chose to focus on camera ops. Some people chose to make it a performance. We'll see how the scoring turns out on that. I'm very curious about that, but I can totally see how this can turn some people off of the performance because it's disconnected not once but twice already, and this went prolonged because of that camera's on stage. Oh. Yeah, that boom, boom, boom. I got to see it from my vantage point, but I bet some people over here did not get to see that moment. Pull down, and we still got the camera in front like that. And then we still have it da-da-da-da-da-da. Turn through right there. So now we're down and up. And now, big note I'm giving this. I had to give this note so many times in Legendary War, and I'm going to bring it up here. This feels like a random dance break for the sake of having one. It doesn't feel any function or any purpose to this track at all, to what they're going for. It just feels like, oh, we need to be different. Let's add a dance break. That's not on Tempest. That's not on any, that's really not. It's just circumstantial. That to me, that's a note that I'm giving. It doesn't feel practical. The turn is cool. Da-da-da-da. Dun-dun-dun. That's fine. The little hit, the lasers. Laser show, that was a cool shot. The hit, boom, 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 boom. Maniac, a lot of head imagery matches, the underlying inspirational choreography. They go back in, da-da-da-da. I like the twinkling of the fingers, it's cool. Explosion, da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da. Hitting it through. This reminds me exactly of whenever you watched Move by SF9. They had a dance break in theirs. Same note I gave. So that's my note. We have lasers. Lasers are freaking sick. IPNA knows how to work some freaking cool lights, but it's just not practical for where we are in our concept. And now I have also brought up the conversation of concepts. You want them to be universal enough to where they make sense, and I still stand by that. And I understand there's way more importance in concept justification here than on regular choreography competition circuits. And this is idols. These are not, professional dancers in specifically the dance competition crew scene. That's not the show. So we can't look at it exactly like that. And my notes were my notes when it comes to some of my other critiques that I've given. But here in this case, like, it definitely feels like we just have to justify dance when we don't have to, really. We really don't have to do this. Hitting it through, da-da-da-da-da-da, and then also, for me, it feels like if you remove the dancers, it would feel the same. And that's my big note to just how the choreography is structured. It is the same thing. The dancers are on the outside, and then your members are on the inside. The dancers are hovering. They're not integrated at all. Hitting it down, a lot of unison, more levels would be great. Then we go down and up, okay, fine, little transition. And then this little high motion over here that we saw, couldn't really see it as well as I know we wanted to. That right there, because we didn't have enough people get low. So that was hard to see, unless everybody was supposed to make a spastic choice, which is fine, but it's the commitment on that. Then we have this energy where we're going to the outside with our dancers. And go and click, 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 click. Also look at the spacing. Spacing is off because with our dancers, this is a note because this is way more spaced out and this is way more clubbed. So now it feels off balance. And that is on the dancers. The members are actually clean. Okay. Driving it down. Cool, peeling from the inside to the outside. The kick is cool. And then dancers are all down. And we look. This feels like we're done, but we're not. Part of me was very glad that we're not done because in my head I'm like, that felt very short and very we were trying to be very climactic in our finish and it just didn't hit. So the melts are fine. I like the slow, the roll is nice. Why didn't we have any dancers in the front? I think it would have been cool to see the dancers move and you get to see that space naturally instead of just peripherally. And that's one reason why I'm double downing on that point of the dancers are on the outside when they need to be ingrained in a mesh, because if I only see them out here, if they're taken away, I'm still given the general scheme of what you want me to look at, which is here. If you had these dancers rolling on the ground here, they're not taking away from what's going on. Their levels are their own levels and I can see them mighty fine. So we're not covering up members, but I get to at least see the dynamic of the slow roll to appreciate that there's movement going on, not just in the peripherals, but actually in the line of sight where my focal point is, right? So that's where my big note comes in, and that's a missed opportunity personally that I think would have been really cool. Slowly coming back up. So they're slowly come up and then they're kind of like crawling to the back. They're damaged. They're hurt. How did they get hurt? I don't know. Were the lasers like molten lava? Great question. They have the crown. I know the crown's there because of, Kingdom. We're there. There was the fun little illusion, but we brought it back out. It felt like, I don't know why we have this. Outside of the fact that we're on Kingdom. That's my note there. The slow walks, it's fine, boom, boom, boom. And the subtlety, do-do-do-do-dee. And so I like the melts on that. Out in. He grabs, moving to the back. We grab, and then we do a little body roll. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. He's having and holding his note, but no one's reacting movement-wise to it. And I think that makes me feel a bit unfortunate because my member who... My member who was killing it on the high note, he's in the lower level, so we're naturally not wanting to see him over who just received the crown, right? But I want to be able to give props where props are due. So if we had people have a response to his high note outside of just this subtle stage presence allowing him to sing, I think I would have felt like we got to celebrate that moment a little bit more instead of just waiting around for him to finish singing his high note, right? It was very unresponsive. The dancers are low, that's cool. And then they walk away. Da-na-na. And then the dancers, though, I will say this, that was a cool visual. We have the crown that's black and we spiky. The dancers showcase that visual because they're in black and they showcase a lot of points in their arms. So that was cool. Maniac. The little boom and the drop, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna hit up and then he is still in fine. Now, let's think about this. I guess... I am curious, I may have missed why we chose this member over this member right here to get the crown and have the moment. Because there wasn't anything super crazy going on this podium that wouldn't have had my singer who's holding this big note the opportunity to stay up there while everybody drops down. So it feels symmetrical, and you would have been allowed that if we had my guy here versus having who we had here. He had his moment and then he has to drop down because now he sticks out, which doesn't bother me as much as other things have in this set, but it's still just a note. When you get enough notes, that can really stack against you in your lineup, right? Now this right here, I like the choice of how quick and how dense we're going, but can't appreciate it because we're all in unison. We don't have all of these other elements, and the unison's not clean. So I'm not opposed to unison at all. But it's how you package it. It's how you use it. You don't want to just do unison and make it feel like we ran out of time to add stuff to it. You want it to be unison for the sake of furthering your storyline, just like your prop usage, just like your formations, just like why you picked the costumes you did, why you picked the LED screens you did, and why you picked a podium to help elevate your level versus just staying flat. All of those things matter when it comes to selling whatever you want to sell. And here, I don't feel like it sold it 100% for me. And it could be because of the influence of the original track, but also I'm not the only person who feels that way, especially in that audience. So yeah, that Maniac is cool. So they had that moment there. That's nice. And they hit it over. But then what are we seeing once again? Just like I was calling it out time and time again for the sheer amount of basket runs in 8-turn set, the sheer amount of format and formations of having your members in center and having everybody on the outside, I'm calling it out like that. There's too much of it. I really wish we had more options. And you get over and done, because it just feels like we're reintroducing or repackaging content, not furthering different formations and reintroducing your features in fun ways. I don't feel like I get to appreciate the members as much, because whenever we were all isolated and alone, we had the camera in the way. And then whenever we have them all in a group, it's hard to know who's singing. And I'm analyzing in a marathon with Luna right now, and I've already done my whole spiel with them on Queendom too. It was really fun. But I literally had a couple notes on their choreography structure because there's so many of them. Whenever I can tell when there's a negligence on feature finding, right? Where I feel like the choreography is not setting up the group for success on when to feature somebody, I shouldn't have to have them raise their hand saying, hey, I'm here, for me to notice them. As a choreographer, part of my goal is to make it easier on the general public for them to find that feature in a very fun way, right? So that's my note. That Maniac, fine. And then the dancers all go down. They have their moment. Cool, mighty fine, and dandy. Awesome. Okay, now going to the new 6. They chose to continue their lore. So far, they're one of the only groups that opted to continue their lore. Are we going to do that with my group of my 3, my NCT, TXT, like that whole thing in the boys? Maybe. I think that would be very intriguing to see some of those things grow. But going in with this, you know what? Side note, what I find interesting is that, so we had, who are the lineups right now? We have in Hyphen, we have Stray Kids, the boys, TXT, and NCT. I personally, that's just a little hot topic thing, I think it would have been really fun if we had each of the groups have to do a track from a older competing group in the show. So, because you've already had the boys represented and Stray Kids represented, and then TXT is with Hype, and Hyphen's with Hype, and then you have NCT with SM. So I also find it shocking that we decided to go with NCT, but I wonder if they did this before the whole scandals came out. So that's what I find fascinating too. I just find it interesting that the structure where we have half of the members represented, more like half of the groups represented are groups that are affiliated with the Kingdom shows. That's a perfect plug for your older seasons, in my humble opinion. But also, I don't know this. I don't know who got to pick the groups, or were the groups already established and they just had to get placed into these little sectors. I don't know any of the logistics. I will know more when I watch the episode, so keep that in mind. But that's just a little shower thought, party of me. Let's talk about this. They have a bed too. In the beginning, he opens up. Notice where the camera is. Yes, it covers up a lot of people that are over here in the corner, but I still very much see what's going on because it's catty cornered, just like in the previous one, it was catty cornered. We have people crawling up. I did not expect that. He's having his dream. He's like, oh no, what's going on? It's building. It's continuing to be more and more concerning, right? He hits it and he's like, oh no. For me, what got me was the sinking into the bed. I wasn't expecting that. So that was cool. And it's still going. I appreciate that. And he grabs, boom. And then we have something else going on over here. And the lights are darker, so they do have the privilege of being able to set up and it's not being taken away from what's going on because of the lights and everything. And of course, we have the fixed cam. It's not really fixed right now, but if we had just a wide shot, I'd be able to make a more accurate distinction, or if I was physically there, I'd be able to make that choice. But I like the fact that we were able to have solid light over here. The camera guy was just far enough away where we could see what was going on. Love it. And then you have, it's darker, but then we have something going on. He holds, he has this moment, and then if anything, it does look like he's pushing that energy over to center. Then he comes up, there's that boom with the shake. Okay, that's fine. Da 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 da, and we have these melts. Do you see the exact note that I gave Tempest that is being integrated right here? Look where the dancers are in front of the members. Look where they're not catty corner to the outside. They're being used. They're ingrained. They are necessary for the furthering of the story. They are not placeholders for space. That is awesome. And we also see lore. General public time. For me, I would find it interesting. We have a butterfly chained up. What's going to happen with this? The track's called Phobia. Do we have a phobia of spiders? Nope, spiders. Phobia of butterflies. I don't know. That is a real phobia for people. But also, we don't know who's singing. We see people grabbing towards someone. So it could be a continuation on camera shot, but from full, it's not unattractive, but it does have me asking questions on, what is happening right now? Who is my feature? But we're going to see how long they stay here to see how long it takes to answer that question. But we know this is a continuation of the new Six's lore. They've used butterflies in their ace stage, in their intro stage, or they're using it here. Very cool. And they pull him, so the pull doesn't look awkward. And I like how we have these reaches with the white. White fits, really cool. We have the opposing colors, so we don't have a costume issue here like we did in the first matchup. So weird. Okay, it's cool. Then right here, he drops down, and then he has this moment, da, 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 da. You still have your members in center, it's cool, but then you have your dancers facing the back. Da, 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 da. Boom, boom. I like that. Boom, boom. The song is completely reworked. It does not sound the same at all. Different genre, honestly. Love that. To me, this is music to my ears, literally. I love it whenever that happens. And then right here, it does feel like we're in an abandoned house or something a little bit creaky about it. Cool. Is that what we're going for? Maybe. So I like that little boom. I like the accent on that. And the lightning is fine. And then they're taking the bed away. Look where the light is. The light is catered more towards center. So as they're taking that bed away, it's not distracting from what's going on in center because it's darker on the outside. It's cool. And he falls out of it. Now that right there, it did look like, was that supposed to look that way? Maybe. But how he continued and finished dropping, it felt like that was an intentional like drop out of a lift. So it worked. It was actually kind of dope. And let's talk about this. We do know that this mess right here happens about the second half. This gets taken away, and I do have a note on that with the dancers as soon as that time comes. But I don't notice this at all because of the LED screen choice that they went with. Look at the thorns. It actually ties and makes it feel more depth and abstract because of the depth of the LED with the thorns that are being used in this forest. That is very cool. Very, very cool. So then you have your dancers that are collapsing, but notice that they feel integrated with the members and they're an enhancement of it because the members are also contributing as well. So there's resistance there. It feels like we're committing, really nice. Like we're actually committing to characters. Very nice. And also too, I like the fact that we're centered and it feels like he has wings too. It's dope. And we grab, and then we have this energy. They're still down. I'm calling it out. Basket runs. That does take away from me. They can only do so much. Part of me wishes that they had, I don't know. There are ways you can introduce dancers on stage that are not this. That's why I will always call it out. Missed opportunity. Everybody involved. Missed opportunity. Do something different than that basket run. I know you needed to get there quickly. But, and because they were all done over here, you could have done more militant marches or something to kind of make it its own thing over here if somebody chose to look at it. Or have them be on the ground and crawl, too. That would have been super dope. Or, you know, it's just, I know it's all a logistic thing, but those are things that I think would have been fun to workshop or at least entertain, which is why I also like behind the scenes stuff. So it answers a lot of my questions that I have when I watch sets like this. So they go and they're down and they're up. And then they run, which, if I'm being honest, the basket runs made these runs not look so awkward. Right? Because we've already seen it established and we're used to and familiar with it. But I will say there are ways we can get to our spot a little bit more efficient that doesn't feel so standard as well. Because we already had such an abstract opener, let's keep a good thing going even in our transitions. So we're here. We still have our members there. The slide there, little speed change is fun. Great levels represented. And they're all set up. So this is really cool. And they have their moment. And then, shocker, what's happening? We have our dancers in center? What? That's awesome. For me, that's fantastic. We love to see that. Did Tempest have that? No, and that's not their fault. But that's a big note I gave them. This right here, the dancers in the freaking center, and then you have Tempest. No, sorry, the new 6 on the outside. That's so cool. I love it. And then they go out, and I love this illusion and having this little fixed point. So that was cool, and having the little peekaboo with the head. You only see their eyes, so that's really cool. And they fall down. I do think it could be a smidgen cleaner. He stays up. It's a bit imbalanced too, because you have 2 of them drop and then 3 of them on this side, and then you have 1 of them up. So that's whatever though. And I like when he's in the center, the dancers have this little outlier moment of the crawls, which is cool. So the dancers are now helping projecting to our next feature. They're running to the back, but they're crawling up. So it feels like a very functional, we're trying to be combative, we're trying to set this butterfly free, but it's not working. But I like this anticlimactic walking with the aggressive outlier movement with our dancers. That's a really good kind of it's a great example of, I've talked about that in analysis many times before. You just pick the marathon and I've talked about it. I love it whenever you have your feature either be really full and there's absence of movement, or they're not moving at all and everybody else is super loud in their movement. That's a great example of it. And the dancers provide a break between the other members climbing the butterfly and your feature. Because if they weren't there, it would feel very cluttered and muddled. But because they're there and they have such thickness of fabric and material, it allows there to be a really nice kind of ebb and flow, or a really nice distinction between what's going on and where you want me to look. It feels itemized and it feels structured. So it allows me to digest it the way you want me to. So you have dancers even like crawling at the top. That's a really nice subtle way to still take away from what's going on in the back, because you don't want me to keep looking back there. So the higher your levels are with those dancers in black, the higher chance it's going to be for me to look at that feature. And they did a good job on the levels on that. That was my note I literally gave to Tempest. And that's, once again, not on Tempest, on whoever did the creative direction. So they're up. This doesn't look awkward how they got there. So now he's running to the back and matched what they were doing, which was cool. He grabs, phobia. This phobia, I'm assuming this is like not there for essence. I have no idea what's going on the sides. That's my one note for this fixed cam. I wish that we were wide camming it so I could really see all the movement staging, because that to me, I think, is the privilege that a live audience really gets that even we don't get, is I have no idea what's going on in the wings and I want to know. But here, phobia, the LED change was really cool. And then also where they have this place, it feels like we're chained or we're in a cage. Cool. And the subtlety, the phobia, the glitch going on. Cool, the LEDs matching there. Phobia, boom. I like that. I do wish we did one more thing in the slow-mo, and I think I would have felt complete. It just feels like we are here just a smidge too long. But also, let's be honest, I have no idea what was going on with these dancers on the outside. Were they doing a completely different thing that helps enhance what's going on here or not? I don't know. I'm only giving what I'm given. So we're going to give that the benefit of the doubt, genuinely, for that reason. You have the hit there. I love the height that the dancers got on there. That boom. The hit, boom, and the rotation around is really cool. The hit, and then they drop down, and they're nice and still anticlimactic. That doesn't bother me, especially because we have the fullness of the dancers here. So that's what made me entertain the thought. There's a chance they're holding it down on the outsides while they're still being anticlimactic. Right, the swing down, the turn, phobia, the reaches are nice, boom. But I am going to give the note though. The entire course we're staying on the butterfly and we're not doing anything else. I mean, we're doing these booms, right? These little interruptions. I do feel like we could, honestly, the dancers could have moved this forward or something. But I know it could be significantly heavier. Like, it's probably really heavy anyway because of the metal, but the more people you add onto it, the harder it is to move. So, and I do know they need a lot of dancers to move it anyway, so maybe it's that. But, man, it's just, these kinds of sets make me so curious on the workshopping, because I wonder if anything I'm suggesting, they've tried and it just wasn't logistically going to work. You know what I mean? Because that happens in real life. I've experienced that all the time, where I have an idea and I want to do it, but I have to modify it on site because the prop didn't come the way that I wanted it to come. The stage was too big compared to what they gave us. There's so many things like that. So that's a very interesting thing. It is very interesting why we chose to have them stay on this as long as they have without anything changing here, especially with the dancers like not allowing this to move or to allow to make it feel that kind of combativeness. It kind of just feels like a small dance break, but that's whatever. But then, love it. The dancers are in front of the members. We love that. He has his moment. He says, let's go. And I love this little look through. I think this is also the first time we're seeing the dancers with the silver. It's the first time I noticed it here. It's cool. And then all the members are hopping off. Part of me wishes on time would be nice, but they're frolicking off stage. So that would be my note there, to do something that basket run I caught you. You know what I mean? There's little things like that. He's down and he's also basket running. It is so easy to tell because our dancers are on the ground. But I like the numbers to help support this right here. It's nice. It's something that I wished, that's something that felt lacking in 8-turn set was because he only had 2 dancers and then he only had 2 more added for the extension of how long he was featured on the stage. And there was no mic pass off. I'm still thinking about that. Okay. But I like the hop over there. And then right there, you have these other dancers in the back that helps kind of hide what's going on with our fellow member in the back. Okay. Then this little butterfly with little sparks is cool. They grab him, they lift him there. He goes through. He's like, hey, here's what's up. We love it. So my feature was featured around the same amount of time as 8 turns. And yes, they're being matched up against Tempest, but because they're all seeing these in the same session, we can still talk about overlapping qualities of them all. The reason why this worked was because you had the sheer number of dancers to help compensate for having only one member on stage hold it down. He has great charisma, but even the most complex, captivating content in performance will get old the more you do it, the longer you do it. Just like my videos are not people's cup of tea because of just how long they can be, right? So that's my note there is the dancers really help compensate using levels and having extra dynamics to help with maintaining balance on the caliber of the performance that this competition is. I like how he's going too. So they hit it, boom, he drops down. Love that he's still there, and then basket run's gonna call that out. We could have a completely different choice on that. Because look, we basket run, they're basket running off stage. We still have these 2 people featured. It's cool. The audience is enjoying that. But look, it takes a lot of people to have to move this. I understand that, and they're literally like, okay, are we ready? So I'm too busy thinking about how are they about to move this butterfly, not what's going on right here. But I like the partnership. It's cool. Oh, they're waiting for a music cue. That makes sense. That's fine. The subtlety there is cool. Could they have made it a moment where they literally were like energy shifting the butterfly away to make it a moment? Personally, I'd say why not? It's there. It's huge. It's already there. We see it. So making it its own moment to why we're moving it out of the way, not just we're done with it. I think that could have been helpful, but whatever. So the kick around was nice. Dun, dun, dun. So then they run. And this is our first audience negligence of the group. I wouldn't count the very first one. The first one the audience could see. Here we really couldn't because they panned around. But this mirroring effect's really cool. we were able to clock it pretty early, so that's fine. And you know what's really cool? Not gonna lie, this mirroring is something that I don't know when did Phobia come out? Phobia came out around 2020, around that time. And I was clocking in the early eras of Stray Kids. They had a lot of mirroring in their choreo. So to me, in my head, as somebody who's very familiar with Stray Kids, I would see that as a really cool inspirational kind of moment of like tying in the choreography because there's none for this track. Like there's no concert footage or anything. That's really interesting that they picked a track like that. That is a huge risk. But I like the fact they did for the reasons that we're talking about. We're not directly comparing the arrangement. We're not comparing the structure of the choreography. It is all new choreo. It is tailored 100% to the new 6. But it also feels like these moments like this feel inspiring to Stray Kids of the era in which the track derived from. So that's really cool. So I like the pan around. I like the fact that our camera guy is actually like not in the way a little bit here. That's kind of fun. And he runs around. That's live. Our dancers are down. I kind of want to see how that setup happened. That was the beauty of the Queendom 2 full cans is you saw the whole stage, baby. Even the parts that we're not supposed to see, you saw them. So you got to see the logistics of it and who really took advantage of it. And so here they're kind of only showing us what they want us to see. So there's that. And that little broom dropout. So he directly looked away from the audience on that, but that was about 5 seconds. And we still saw him. So they all come up. Now, yes, we're going to call the elephant in the room. Yes, we saw this happen. That's life. For me, that's a circumstantial incident. That is not, they've always rehearsed it and he's always made that mistake. That is way different than the illusion setup that we saw on Tempest 1 with the crown. So we're just calling it what it is. That's fine. And it also looks like the dancers are the shadows of our members. That is cool. That is really cool. I'm stuck with the Phobia. And the Phobia, I love that little change there. Oh, look what's going on. When it's a full bright white stage and you got black cloaked dancers basket running across the stage, we notice it. It's right there. But then, of course, there's this trip. That may have actually saved that little moment for me because I noticed that. So anyway, the height there, so he couldn't jump, but because he's center, that he is I hate saying this, he is the best person to make a mistake because he is in center. So you can play it off better than somebody in the corner making that mistake. Yeah, and the and then the rotation over is cool. And we still have that orchestra influence that's still tying in from the very beginning. We're seeing that here, which is cool. And then you have these hands that are coming out. They remind us of what you saw in the very beginning. So we haven't forgotten about any of like the phobia, night terrors, that kind of stuff. We're using our color palette matches that. A lot of like the kind of fabric and material, it feels worn, you know, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of those details. It is giving a smidgen Game of Thrones right here, but that's whatever. Okay, so I like the pushback on that, was really cool. And then they grab, they bring it back up. They say, come on, wee, and they throw it down. The hit, and we drop it down. Come on, they pick it up. And then we have this fabric in the back. I do know the basket run was probably to help set that up. And I do think we are being multi-purposeful with our props. This draping was something that was used, I believe, in the very, very beginning, which I think is very smart. That's cool. Way to use it. And then hitting over. And so now we have some stuff being set up in the back. We have our members in front. They're in white, so they're easier to distract that. And the other dancers are in black. And then you, of course, see them as an outlier. This doesn't bother me. Why? Even though other groups do it and I called them out on it, it's because that's all they did. Here, this is one of many facets the dancers are utilized, like freaking being shadows on the ground. That part doesn't work without the dancers. But some other cases, you could take the dancers out and it would still feel the same. It just has less people. So that's kind of my point that I was making on that one, that I get to really double down on here and affirm that this is something that was right. And I really appreciate it because it allows me to see there's a lot of depth in investment on all fronts, not just the members with people accessorizing it. Hitting that hit, boom, boom. So I like these extra punctuations on our choices, and the fullness and power of them is really nice outliers. And hit, boom, do, 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 do. The pulse around, they take it over, and their rotation is nice. That phobia, and I like the energy bringing it over. That boom, boom is nice. High, low, and then click, click over, which we also like. And then they have this frame over. And then, of course, that little mistake, that's also another circumstantial thing. I bet you that doesn't happen often. And I'm going to tell you right now, the new six probably feels really bad about this performance because one of them tripped and one of them got caught on that. There's probably other small mistakes that happen, but if I'm being honest, those things really don't matter in the grand scheme of things compared to the overall structure of the routine. And also, I don't know what the camera caught on the full versions either. So there's that. And I'm excited to see the show, then the episode, so I can see that firsthand. That's over here. So you notice whenever they pull the sheet over, those three really big holes. I was expecting those to be used. So when the hands popped out that we're going to see pretty soon, I was caught off guard in a good way. So there's this extra thing. So you see those holes? So one of them peeks up, not a surprise there. He comes up and it definitely feels that we're tying in what we saw with the bed and all that. And then we have an arm grab. And then we have another arm grab to the other side. Cool. The heartbeat is cool. Definitely has that pulse that feels that way. It's dramatic, you know, having the violin while somebody's being morphed into this evil thing is something that we've seen in media done before. I like the structure of this. I feel a shift in the energy. Something's happening with our members. What's going on? We're encountering our fears, right? And then he has his moment, bringing it around. Of course, the pulse is still being maintained in the fabric. That was really cool. No one got caught. That was really nice. The arms are in white. These are white gloves, which the dancers have not had up until this point. So that is also what caught it off guard. And this is a smart direction choice because I'm telling you, if they did not have white gloves on, it would be really hard, much harder to see that accent the way that we got to see it, which reiterates my point that I made about A-turn with the fact he was in white shoes climbing up black covered backs. It was easier to see instability versus if it was a darker color. Here, you want to see this moment, so what did they do? They created an outlier color because they saw the purpose of the white. In a dark space, having a white light color in a dark fabric is going to stand out. That's what they wanted, and that's what they got, and that was the cool moment. Bring it in, snap, snap, and then we hit it up, rotating it down. I love that choice, and then we create this little branch up, and I love this presentation with the chest. Come on now. That boom, 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 that fixed point. It could be cleaner, but I like the fact we were going for that. Not even seeing and just hoping for the best. Like, this is what they're doing. They're doing this, and then they had to fix point it like that. They can't look at it. That's dope. They hit it around, which is nice. The rotation is cool. I do think the range could be a smidgen cleaner on that. Hitting it over, boom, 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 boom. I like the fold over is nice, the melts. And of course he got caught. It feels smoother on the transitions. It would really sell it. But I appreciate the intention. Yeah, da 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 da. Hit it one time. So there's there's like the extra water. The water ties into what they've been doing in intros and stuff. So there's already these little lore Easter eggs they've been setting up. This is a fantastic example, everyone, of whenever I talk about lore versus general public. Your live audience has not seen your ace battle or your intro stage like we have. So they have no idea any of that reference. But we do, knowing this, so we get to appreciate it on a deeper level, but it's still captivating as an independent standalone set. This is the textbook example of that. Thank you. Thank you for that. The grabs are cool. They love that. The look on that's really nice. The arms come up and they bring it back down. They reach it over. I love this energy. Boom, da, 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 da. It's cool. And I love this little dun, 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 dun. Now, do you see that the hands are a little bit harder to see? Because you have the white in the LED screen. So, do I know how quick they have to logistically take the glove off to make that a bigger moment? Maybe. But I think they just kind of pick their battles. Just like with LEDs, I don't know how much liberties they're allowed on the color grade or anything of them. So that's whatever. So he's slowly sinking into the floor. So it feels like this purple gook, but also it's become this second kind of thing of we're drowning, which ties into the A stage, right? Wow. He has this moment. He goes over that, boom, boom, pulse is there, and he takes it, he gets sunken, and there's that little hand that's coming in hot right there. And they take it up. I love that. And now we're in chains. Reminds you of the bondage that we saw in the intro stage. So we have the chain, boom, get thrown off. Boom. I love this extra punctuation that the dancers are doing to help see that chain get flung off. That third one didn't get hit. Who cares? That's fine. And then, look, we have this power of lighting. Oh my God. I love giving credit where credit is due on this. This feels like a dancer this whole time. I still feel that way. This didn't feel like they raised up a prop up there. Here's why that sold. Is it light right here? No, it's dark and it's a silhouette. They knew what they were doing in the lighting. And that's why it felt the way that it did. And you have this, hey, they made it match a choreographic choice. They choreographed the raising of this mannequin. They didn't just put it up there, right? And they made it match his tone as he raised it. I love that. Guys, I freaking love that. So cool. Now look, yeah, even there. It's still up and it's still frozen, right? Now, part of me is like, what's going to happen? What are we going to be doing here, right? So then from here, the dancers are now, instead of just framing on the side, they're now in the back. So the members are still in center, but they weren't always in the center the whole time. They still feel that way, and I still recognize it. They're giving us some pace on that. Dun, 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 and hit, and hit. This feels like something that we've already kind of seen on the intro stage. It's whatever. It's fresh eyes looking at it. It's whatever. I like the build up on it. We're building an intensity on this. That boom, and a little cross on that. There, look at the chains. I like the chains being added in. Really nice. With these glass shards. And we have this energy with the Superman. And I like the fact that we didn't stay in the same formation. We took the dancers. They were in the back. And then they expanded it out. And it felt like we multiplied our dancers, didn't it? Let me look. So we have our dancers here. We have some of them. Of course, Basket running Blessed in the back. Yeah. And he all threw all the chains off on the boom. Then you have dancers in. You have about 4 on each side. Da, da, da. And then you have one of them in the back. Yeah, some of them have their hood completely off. That's whatever. How they have this structured, it feels like a really still dancer, doesn't it? Da, 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 da. So it was really nice how they took their dancers and made them go to the outside. It feels very like we're creating more fullness in our stage. The hit on that, boom, boom, da-doom, da-doom, and then we have our dancers continue. He used the content to transition. He didn't just basket run there. Thank you for that. He runs. I love the full-on run, so he goes first, and then the others join. They're looking, and then the other guys are like, oh no, what are you doing? I love that. First member goes. Good idea. Second, all the other members are like, we'll provide support. Then the dancers are like, crap. Very nice. They're up there. They're all looking. They're like, what have you done? Drops out. Sound drops out. Focal point is right here when you want it to be a focal point. So look, it's still even. It's a spotlight is a focal point. They throw it, and it drops. And everybody drops out as a result of it. It's reactionary. That's cool. That is freaking sick on the end of it. And then they all look back. It feels like we have an ending. We have something climactic at the end. This is the best one so far in the challenge, is this one right here. If you look at them all independently, the structure of this, is awesome. It makes sense. It has lore, but it's not relying so heavily on the lore and people to get it in order for it to make sense. It feels standalone. The structure of it's nice. The integration of the dancers is great. The composition, I think, is one of the best rearrangements where it still feels, it feels Stray Kids, but it still feels inspired, but it's still a different arrangement. This is fantastic, and they should be very proud of this performance. Regardless of who wins, they should be proud of this. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. So in all honesty, I have no idea how these videos are going to be formatted for YouTube. I don't know if I get to keep it all in one or if I have to splice them up into individual analysis, but I hope to hear from you, especially if you are a fan of any group that I did an analysis on. I want to know what your thoughts were when you watched it, how you watched the competitors, what are your notes? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I want to hear from you because I'm not always 100% sold on my own perspective, especially when there's other background information that's going to allow me to see it in a light that's going to be more effective to how the live audience felt. And remember, these are my own opinions based on my particular scope in the dance scene, and so I'm not going to be right really a lot of times. It's just my feedback, and I just want to be somebody that is helpful, not just to the fan bases to better understand what people could be looking for, but also to the group. So if you know of any group that is a part of this and you're able to give them access to this, I want the groups to, and the teams and the choreographers, to get these analysis if you find that these would be helpful for them, because this was made for everyone, including myself. I love getting to look at material and getting to celebrate the art of dance, and I think everybody's done a great job so far. You guys know me, I know you. I am Jess. I'm excited for the episode watch. You can head over to Patreon to be a part of the group chat that helps dive in. You don't have to pay to be a part of it, and you can get access to the episode there if you would like, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.